Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, look at this. Look at this dais we have right here. It is stacked tonight. It's a big week in the conference. We got some heavy hitters on the show. Welcome to the Southland Sermon. Let me go ahead and quickly introduce my guests. First of all, from the Cut Block podcast, the cover of everything football that's not FBS in Texas, Cory Hogue. Down at the bottom right, the man, the myth, the legend, the beard, Zach McKinnell. And new guest, new to the show, Micah Butel from Lamar. I did jokingly say this week was Micah Hate Week because we are SFA is playing Lamar. But Micah, as far as Lamar Athletics, a great follow on Twitter. Does a great job covering the school. So, Micah, welcome to the show. We appreciate you popping on.
Of course.
And fellas, welcome back. It's great to have you back on the show as always.
Hey, appreciate the invite, man. Listen, I'm always tuned in, man. One of my favorite shows to watch every week.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to get with the Rev this week, right? This is a big week.
It's a big week. A lot to talk about. Let's just real briefly go through the games last week to get some folks caught up. Just because there were some good ones and there weren't some good ones. Let's see. Incarnate Word beat Northwestern State. Not a shock. 38-3. Northwestern State's just, I guess, happy to be around this year. SFA obliterated Houston Christian, then Colby Carthel obliterated their facilities. Final was 50-3. Houston Christian, rumor is they're tearing down the CVS, and that's just taking away the one thing that makes that field worthwhile. So I hope they save the CVS because I want to watch a game from the roof up there. Lamar put a big dash into the playoff host of Southeastern Louisiana, 14-12. That was a fun, interesting game to watch. There were a lot of folks who were down on Lamar, doubted how well they were playing, and this looked like the Lamar team that beat South Dakota earlier this year. A great win for them. McNeese beats up on the Lions of East Texas A&M 35-20, and then UTRGV V's up. I'm going to give them a shout out still. Beat up on Nichols 28-21. Micah, I assume you were at the game because it was in Lamar. What were your thoughts on it? Just being there and watching it.
First off, the cardiac cards live on. But no, I mean, so my game day role, for those that don't know, is I'm the guy that does like all the music and stuff and runs the video board and things. So I'm obviously fully invested in the game at all times during that. But no, I mean, it was Southeastern. It was one of those games. If you like offense, you probably wanted to run and hide because that was obviously not the greatest offensive performance. But I don't think enough people talked about just how much of a defensive battle it truly was. I mean, Southeastern had a chance on fourth down and 1, and obviously Lamar stopped them. Then we obviously had the 2-point conversion try twice and didn't score twice with Southeastern there after that fake field goal. I mean, the only touchdown Southeastern scored was, and I can say this full-heartedly as a Lamar employee, that was one of the sickest touchdowns I've ever seen, that fake field goal. I mean, that was the punter. He didn't even get touched, and it wasn't like he was like Speedy Gonzalez over here. That was so well done. Kudos to Selfo and that staff. But no, it was a really fun game. It was back and forth, and I think it was just a testament again to I think both teams being what I think are playoff worthy teams.
Yeah, and that's going to segue me to Zach a little bit here. Zach, looking at this game and the results, what do you think it does to both Lamar and Southeastern's playoff chances? Probably, I mean, obviously it helps Lamar considerably because they definitely were a bubble team and probably first 4 out. But what do you think about Southeastern Louisiana now?
Yeah, they're in a tough spot now. I mean, you have to win out to probably lock yourself in because I don't think they get in at 8-4. I know that sounds a little bit harsh, but I mean, Rev, you kind of talked about it, how their strength of schedule is not going to be there. What would be their signature win at that point? Maybe UTRGV would be the best win they have on the resume, which is not great. And I do think that you're looking there. There's going to be a ton of 7-5 Valley teams potentially with a lot of signature wins, with a good strength of schedule, with a lot of ranked wins that potentially keep them out. But at 9-3, they're going to be in. I don't think you can go 9-1 against the FCS and be left out of the playoffs, especially because you didn't play a non-Division I opponent. So I think they deserve to get in there. And I think Lamar, you just beat McNeese, you're in. I don't even think it matters what happens with Lamar this weekend against Stephen F. Austin. Like, I think you should be in at 9-3 if you're Lamar. Especially what really helps them is South Dakota performing so well. That win has aged so well, and now you got the ranked win over Southeastern Louisiana. So I think there's a real good chance right now for Lamar and Southeastern to get in. You just need Southeastern to get past the trap game that is this weekend, because Lamar found out how big of a trap game it was 2 weeks ago and slipped up against Incarnate Word. If SLU slips up against Incarnate Word, I really do think that they could be in trouble on the bubble.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into some of the games this week, but Incarnate Word has been sneaky to some teams. Cory, I know you focus on the Southland, but mainly the Texas side of the Southland, as you're covering everything Texas. That's not FBS. What are your thoughts on Lamar, and then what are your thoughts on Incarnate Word and how they've been performing the past couple weeks?
That game against SLU was exactly how Lamar wins football games. They're gritty. They go defense. They're not going to impress you. They don't impress you. They're not going to blow teams out. That's just not Lamar's style. And that's why I think we'll get into it later. I think this weekend's going to be a lot the same way, because that's Lamar drags you into a dogfight. That's where they want you. And when they get you there, they're really good at executing late in the game. As far as Incarnate Word, they still have talent. Like in Clint Killow, that team will play for him. He knows how to inspire those guys. And they had a long losing streak, and I know that was hell on them. But that win against Lamar, I think, really gave them some life. And then they go on the road. Now they've built some momentum. Southeastern's in a dangerous spot. I agree with Zach. I think Southeastern has the win out to get in. But this week is probably the most dangerous game left on their schedule.
Yeah, so what's funny about that is last week I said that Incarnate Word had the most talented roster in the Southland, and a certain Lions fan told me that I was 100% wrong, and I'm going to double down on that. Incarnate Word still has the most talented roster in the Southland. When you look at who they brought in, you look at their transfers they brought in. I mean, bringing in Spears, they brought in Harlan Dixon, they had Walthall, they have
Colson.
Yeah, Colson's
solid. And
he's
young, but he's solid.
Yeah, and so I will still say that. I think that this is just – I always say that when you look at teams that bring in a lot of transfers, can they gel? Can they produce, and can they play together? And I think Incarnate Word this season is the example of when that doesn't work. It's kind of like Sacramento State. When Sacramento State brings in a ton of transfers and they're ass the first 6 weeks of the season. Same thing kind of happened to Incarnate Word this year, which to me, if they retain that roster, makes them dangerous next year. Because they have the gelling there. Zach, I saw you nodding. You agree or no?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of brought up two teams that look how well Sac State's playing right now. It just took a little bit longer than I think we thought. And then also, too, let's say this, both teams picked the wrong quarterback to start the season, and it sets you back so far. What happens if Incarnate Word rolls out Colson to start the Nichols game? What happens if Cardell Williams starts for Sac State against South Dakota State instead of Jaden Rashada, who's probably been one of the worst quarterbacks I've watched this year? I think, and then also, too, Incarnate Word missed. Like, if you could say one position Killo and his staff missed on probably every single guy they brought in, it was the offensive line. That offensive line is really bad. And I think Killo would tell you that he missed on a ton of evaluations on the offensive line. Now, the guys that are good on the offensive line were guys they already had. You look at Newsome, who's been there. They nailed that eval 2 years ago when he came from Southern. But the rest of those guys on that offensive lineman have just not been good. And when you pair that with the wrong move at quarterback, I just think it really put Incarnate Word in a bad position. I thought the defense has played well all year, guys. The few games where they lacked, it's because the offense literally had them on the field all game long, and I think they just wore down toward the middle part of the season. But both those teams are playing better because they gelled. But you talk about bringing in a lot of transfers, Dustin. We've seen it work, though, too, because Tennessee Tech brought in a ton of transfers, and that team is unbelievable right now.
I will say about the defense that UIW's got one of the best defensive coordinators in the country at any level. Jim Gush is just incredible, and everywhere he's gone, his defense has been successful. And there's really, to be honest, there's a lot of great coaching in the Southland right now and across Texas. I mean, we're looking at 4 Texas teams. People laughed at me earlier this year when I said I really thought 4 teams from Texas could make the playoffs. it looks like we're going to get 4 teams from Texas in the playoffs this year, as long as Abilene Christian's able to win a couple on the road here.
Yeah, and that's a weird thing for us because usually it's not the case. In the past couple of years, it's been Louisiana focused, especially out of the Southland. But what's funny, Cory, last year at the Southland Media Day, we sat down when the preseason poll came out, and I said to you last year, I said the team to watch is Lamar, and that Lamar is going to be a lot better than people realize. And I think I was a year ahead on my prediction. So. Because
I was with you though, and a lot of that is you got to hit on your head coach, and Lamar has the right guy as their head coach, and not just there. Like I put out today, they got a $2.5 million renovation. The Texas State University system is pretty much. It went through the committee today. It's going to get approved next week. Those things don't fail when they go before the Board of Regents. They're going to get a $2.5 million locker room renovation on the football field. They got the video board. They have the alignment that you need from the president. O'Malley has been outstanding. And then you put Rosamondo. And Rosamondo is a gonna get it done kind of guy. I've had no doubt from the first time I talked to him that Lamar would be in this position. It was just a matter of taking some time, building the roster, and more importantly, the depth you need to be a playoff team at this time of year.
Yeah, I was going to mention the locker room thing, which is really awesome to see the Texas State University system focus on somebody not in San Marcos for once. So that's a good win for
giving $2.5 million to Sol Ross to build some houses for some of the high up professors to rent.
Maybe they should give some money to Sol Ross to actually put some grass down on the field instead of what they play on.
Maybe a weight room, man. They barely have weights. Like, honestly, Sol Ross, the facilities and what they have there.
Yeah. I will say the what they've done in Beaumont with the stadium, the stadium's it's nice, probably the nicest one in Southland to go watch a game in, if I'm being honest. Not saying the rest of Beaumont's nice, but that stadium is not a bad place to go watch a game. The fact that they're going to get the locker room renovation, the fact they have the great facilities there, that's only a testament to what can be done for Lamar, I think, going forward. Micah, do you have any more thoughts on me saying nice things about Lamar? Because it's going to stop as soon as we change, as soon as we get into the games.
No, I mean, I wanted to give Cory some credit because what Cory just said is genuinely what we believe at Lamar, like with what we have currently going. Like, for those that don't know, I came from East Tennessee State over to Lamar. Like, I have no ties to Texas. I came here a year ago because of Jeff O'Malley and Dr. President Taylor over, obviously, on the university side's vision of what Lamar is going to be. I mean, it stems all across the board. We just spent a ton of money on renovations for volleyball. Our volleyball program is finally winning games, and they weren't winning games before, 2-3 years ago. Baseball facility, I don't know if y'all saw, but we are hosting Oregon State this year in baseball. That went public today. So, like, from an athletic department top to bottom, we have great coaches and great people. So, it's kind of nice that we have that kind of going forward. I actually did not know the locker room thing passed today. I knew it was up. I'm not going to lie. I was running around all day today, so never actually
Micah
can see. But
CoryHogueSports.substack.com.
I knew you were going to drop
your plug.
I knew you were going to drop that in.
But no, yeah, it was. But again, I knew it was on the docket. So glad to hear it. It definitely got passed. But I think there's a lot of things that we're doing. I mean, just even from like fan experience stuff. I mean, Beaumont. It's not a Lake Charles. Like, I can't believe I'm gonna give credit or kudos to a rival, but like Lake Charles bleeds McNeese. Like when you walk into Lake Charles, you see blue and gold. Like you don't see a ton of LSU. I mean, there's obviously LSU fans there, but you just don't see it publicly. You didn't see that in Beaumont. We're really trying to change that, and that stems obviously from top down. And Pete's done a great job, and our crowds this year are better than what they were last year. Helps that we're winning, but we've also had a lot of effort from getting our players out. Pete's very proactive, like dropping off posters at local businesses and restaurants and, doing a bunch of small little things to get people out. So I think we really have a good vision on that. So it was cool to hear someone else say it besides me just feeling like it's being fed to me from my actual boss. So, and seeing it on my own end.
Yeah, no. Hey, and that's the key. I wrote about it last year before I got, eliminated on that other site, but it was It is a key. You have to have that alignment, and the teams that have that alignment, and I think that's what we've seen in Texas. Tarleton kind of spurred some of that too with the president, the AD, and the head coach. Once you get that alignment going, man, it goes straight up, and we've seen it with Abilene Christian. We're seeing it with Lamar. Look, SFA a couple of years ago didn't fully have that alignment, but now they got a new president. They've got a new AD. The coach, it's not always the coach, right? Like I know we love to throw the coach under the bus so much, but it's not always the coach. And those there's a reason those programs are doing as well as they are. And it starts at the top and it filters its way down.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And Lamar's football, I'll say Lamar football's the social media team, which Mike, I'm sure you have some involvement there too. Like they've been great this year. The way they're interacting on social media has been awesome.
I don't want to take full credit, but I'm going to. I'm actually the guy that's doing all of that. So I am admin for those who don't know. So if you have issues with it, feel free to come to me personally as well. But
I love how you kept receipts. I love how you had receipts last week, and you were going through showing people the receipts from that game.
It's the way I approach it is, I mean, I'm very fortunate. I have Pete's really cool about it. Obviously, Jeff O'Malley, our AD, is very cool about it. Like, we understand at Lamar that like we have a special product, but we're never going to be a topic of conversation if we don't have a little bit of fun. We can't act like we're Texas A&M where we press send on a tweet and it's going to have 50,000 views, right? Like we have to have a little bit of fun. You know, obviously we got to keep it somewhat professional. And sometimes I wonder if I've gone a little too far, but you know, we really do try to have fun. And again, just build a brand. Again, like I still can't believe me just posting a meme about Texas A&M fans chanting, "We want Lamar," would get 5 million views.
That was legendary.
That was so good.
So like just having fun like that is something we really try to.
But first of all, you're not going to go too far on social media.
We really tried to have fun with that.
I would say you're not going to go too far on social media unless you're Bethune-Cookman talking about Grambling's hole. That's the only thing.
That was an insane post, by the way. And then the response was even worse.
Yeah. So
post a picture of your student athlete to say wrong hole is insane.
Yeah, Mike, if you haven't seen that, go look at it. It's the craziest back and forth I've ever seen in my life.
You say that.
Yeah, it's the Bethune-Cookman put up a thing playing at Grambling, and it was like we're coming into your hole. And then Grambling put up a thing with their student and said wrong hole, or like, and I was just like, do we need to talk about consent in your conference? Yeah, like, what is going on here?
Bethune-Cookman said, pick a hole, any hole.
Yeah.
Was the caption to like the promo of the game. Everyone was like, wait, what?
And then they get that big fight.
Yeah.
No, man.
Yeah. Oh, Zach, I'm putting this comment up for you.
Shout out to you, man. Appreciate you.
Speaking of, that was an interesting show y'all had this week with the commish, Chris Grant and the United Athletic Conference.
Yes, it
commissioner.
was.
Thoroughly enjoyed it.
And you guys all know Chris. Like the off-camera conversations were even better than the on-camera ones, and I can't wait.
Well, I tweeted at him about to see if he was going to be in Nacogdoches Saturday, and I said, looking forward to storming the field after we win. And he tweeted back, he's like, I look forward to seeing you. However, I do not condone field storming. So
he's going to make you pay the fine. He's going to fine SFA and make you write the check.
I'm sure he'll probably have it ready to go. Before we go into games next week, Zach, let's talk about your playoff bracketology that you put out a few days ago, and I'm trying to remember. I looked at it. I remember you had SFA, I believe, as a 12 seed in your bracketology.
Yes. Yeah,
hosting. Who was it? Drake? I don't remember what.
Yeah, Drake would be there. Because like I'll tell you this, like the hardest thing for the committee this year, and talking to the committee head who we also had on the FCS Edge, they kind of talked a little bit like off camera about how hard it's going to be with all the flight shortages right now going on in the country, and how hard that's going to be in terms of playoff scheduling. I don't know how they have to be very conscientious of what they schedule, but what makes the first round scheduling so hard this year is you have UC Davis is probably not going to be a top 8 seed unless they beat Montana State this weekend. Their closest opponent would be NAU, who they already played in the regular season. So somebody's going to have to take that cross country trip. And then guys, all the Texas schools, like SFA can't play Lamar, and Lamar can't play, if Southeastern Louisiana makes it. So like, it's really weird that you have all the Dakota and Missouri Valley schools that can't play each other in the first round. And so I think making scheduling was very hard, but Drake and SFA made sense. And then I got the winner of that game going to play Tarleton in the second round.
So let me ask you this. Let's say Southeastern doesn't stumble the rest of the way. Let's say SFA beats Lamar. No offense, Micah, but let's say that happens. All right. At that point, do you still see 3 teams from the Southland still getting in? And then how many of them do you see potentially being seeded out of those 3 and seeded by top 16?
I still think SFA would be the only one I could see seeded. I think if Lamar is going to sneak into a seed, they're going to need some help. Like you would probably need Villanova to slip up. You would probably need Monmouth to drop a game somewhere, Rhode Island to drop a game, North Dakota to lose an unexpected game, like something like that would happen. And also, too, you need South Dakota State not to finish 8-4, because I know this is going to sound very contradictory, but I'm telling you guys, this is what's going to happen. If South Dakota State wins one of their last 2 and finishes 8-4, they're getting a top 16 seed. If they lose both games, they might not get into the playoffs. Like that's how fine the line is this year with them. And so you would need some help, I think. But I think Lamar could sneak into a 16 seed given the right situation. But I don't think Southeastern has any shot at the top 16 seed.
And then do you think that they would have Southeastern play SFA?
Yes, I believe so. Because then you would send Drake to. Because here's what's hard is usually Drake gets screwed and has to play like South Dakota State or North Dakota State.
Yeah.
Since South Dakota State already played them, they'd probably get sent to North Dakota.
Yeah, because I think they played South Dakota. They play South Dakota.
They play South Dakota State this year.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't keep track of all the Valley teams they play. I know they get that's how they get their stuff. Cory, I know you watched the playoffs too. What do you think? Do you think the Southland is a three school conference if things play out correctly?
Well, it's kind of funny because I posted yesterday and I was texting with James Hill about it that, at July at the opening drive, we were talking about that Southland should be a 2-bid conference. And that should be what we need to push. And now we're sitting here talking about 3 bids. And that's because the conference has gone out and they've won the games they need to prove themselves. I think they're definitely 2. I think 2 is a guarantee this year. I think you've got SFA and Lamar. I agree with Zach. This week doesn't matter for Lamar. It's the McNeese game that they have to win. Southeastern Louisiana, they're the one I'm not sure of. I think they win out, they're in. But if they stumble in either of the last 2, the River Bell Classic or this week at UIW, which is a tough place to play in that 3A high school stadium, then, sorry about that, Zach. If they lose there, and it's possible. I think this week is probably the one week that Southeastern Louisiana is most vulnerable to lose. And if they do, one of those 2, they're out, in my opinion.
Yeah. And then here's a weird question. I'll bounce around to all 3 of y'all. Micah, let's say Lamar beats SFA, which isn't out of the realm of possibility. And I'm not saying, like, whenever I talk about this, that I think SFA is a clear lock. But let's say Lamar beats SFA and Nacogdoches, which would I think that would actually take a bid away from the Southland at that point, because I think it would take SFA out of the playoffs. And here's my logic. Zach, I see you think about it. Here's my logic. Who's SFA's best win at that point?
Yeah, they don't have one.
They don't have one. They have a loss to Abilene Christian. They have they beat Incarnate Word, who beat Abilene Christian. They lost. They beat Cal Poly, but they don't have the out of conference. And then they played Sol Ross. They needed a game, so they don't have the out of conference schedule. So if Lamar beats SFA, does that take SFA out of the playoffs?
I don't think so.
That'd be tough.
I saw you mention that earlier this week, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And I just don't agree because your 2 losses are to ranked opponents. And, you played Abilene. You had Abilene Christian in the first half right neck and neck. They came on and won the second half, obviously. But if you go and look, this weekend's game, make no mistake, it's going to be a one-score game. I think you can lock that down. And at that point, I think win or lose, as long as SFA takes care of Northwestern State, which would be crazy if they don't, I think they're in. I think if their only 2 FCS losses are to ranked opponents, I think they're in pretty easily.
Yeah, so here's my thought on this, and you got to look at history, and maybe the committee's gotten better, right? Let's look at Lehigh. Let's look at McNeese. You know, there have been teams that have been, when we were 11 game schedules, 9-2. You know, I think McNeese they were 10-2 in a 12 game year. They both got left out of the playoffs, right?
Incarnate Word.
Incarnate Word, another good example. Incarnate Word getting left out. I mean, gosh, you even look at Southeastern Louisiana last year, right? They were bubble. There are some folks who said they shouldn't have been in. There are some folks who said Northern Arizona should not have been in, right? So to me, just knowing the history of the committee and seeing some of the decisions that they've made, that's where my thought process went on that. Is that, yeah, I mean, you know, SFA has had a great run through the conference this year, but there's nothing signature except for having good losses.
I understand that, but I think the Southland's profile has been risen nationally. And I'll tell you one reason I think behind that more than anything is UT RGV. That team coming in their first season, they have gotten so much national attention. And the fact that you've got, you know, their losses aren't to bad teams. That's the thing. Like, what they've done has been incredible. I think that, along with Lamar's win over South Dakota, that was huge for the Southland Conference, I think, on the national picture. So I think they've improved to where this year, I think Southland is no doubt a 2-bid league.
I will say this: the one thing with is there a world where I see them being left out? Yes, and it would depend on some of those chaos scenarios we've talked about, where if UT Martin upsets Tennessee Tech and steals a bid, if Lafayette upsets Lehigh and steals a bid, if or if Yale beats Harvard and steals a bid, because if Harvard loses, they're getting in at 9 wins, and the Ivy's going to get 2 teams in. And then, like, I just want to ask you, Rev, I mean, because let's just say it plays out how we think, right? These would be the bubble teams that were left out in our projections. You would have Southeastern Louisiana at 8-4 with a loss to UIW, 8-2 Dartmouth, 7-5 Southern Utah, 8-4 New Hampshire, 8-4 William and Mary, 7-5 Austin P, Lafayette, and then Southern Illinois. With only 61 wins for Southern Illinois, because they also played a non-Division I opponent.
Yeah. Yeah. And
I don't think any of those teams would have a strong case to get in over SFA.
maybe Southern Utah.
Their resume is sneaky good for a 75 team.
For a 75 team, they have probably one of the better resumes of a team that's on the bubble. Because look at
they can still win the UAC.
They can still win the UAC too. That's the other thing.
I was doing that breakdown this week, and I was like, "Wait a minute, the Thunderbirds."
Delane Fitzgerald's always going to have them in position. Like, if he could just figure out the first 4 games of the season, Southern Utah would be so good. It's like every year they just choke early in the season. Like, that loss to San Diego might keep them out this year. Last year was Idaho State.
Yeah.
Every time I talk to Delane Fitzgerald, I come away just with my belly hurts from laughing so much at what he says. He is so awesome.
He's the greatest.
He's the best. He actually, the best was, he sent Jamie Williams and I both all Southern Utah gear. So I have a bunch. I think that's probably the school I had the 3rd most gear of in my closet after SFA.
Oh, I'm gonna have to text him after this and be like, bro, the Rev gets gear, but
I do.
Can't get no gear.
I've got some sick gear. I got invited when they played in Nacogdoches. He invited me like their team dinner. I just couldn't make it up to NAC that weekend. Like, it was great.
Navarro.
Yeah, you got Navarro College. Let's go through the games because there's a lot of playoff implications. We know what's going on. I think there's 2 we're going to deep dive. So let's go through the easy ones that we can talk through first. Northwestern State's going to Thibodaux to play the Swamp People. Anybody see any realm of Northwestern State having a chance to win that game?
No.
I know.
No, Blaine's in a complete rebuild. It's going to take him another 2 or 3 years at least.
Yeah. And that's, hey, they got 1 win this year, right?
He's the right guy for that. I still believe that.
He 100% is. He just needs to make sure that the school.
I just wish it won that game. God,
Yeah, I know why you don't wish. Yeah. But you know what? He does need the state to fund it. So let's see. Houston Christian. We got the Christians going to play the Lions up in Commerce. This one's interesting to me because I think East Texas A&M is actually better than their record. I think they're a better team. That game against Lamar, that ending against Lamar is still one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Right? You know,
the Scott Van Pelt was even better. After that game, I had a Lamar assistant coach texted me and said that they are much better than they appear on film and much better than their record. I think East Texas probably favored in that this week.
Yeah, that's who I would go. That's who I would lean to at least. I think their offense has a much higher ceiling in this one.
Yeah, I like Ron Pease. I actually like him as quarterback. I think he's good. I think he's just had. I mean, obviously they played some very, very tough defenses this year.
Texas JUCO kid.
Yeah, but even watching them against SFA, you could see the promise there. And SFA kind of played with their food a little bit playing against them as well. And I think they're another team to probably watch over the next couple of years, especially now that they've settled the other things that are going on with their school name. They're not Texas A&M University, Dallas at Commerce, or where the hell they were going to be.
And they've got you want to talk about a school on the rise. East Texas A&M, they've got the new gym being built. They're getting that new arena. There's other things that I've heard coming down that are in the works that haven't fully been announced yet. They need to obviously address the stadium, but the East Texas A&M thing, that was so perfect, and it has been such a help for them in merch sales.
Yep.
That's what they needed to do. There's still some things to go, but they've got the best athletic director in Texas right now. So,
yep. Mike, you got any thoughts on East Texas A&M after y'all's wild adventure with them?
To show you how much of a sicko I am for Southland football, just as a fan, the only team we don't play this year is Houston Christian. So I actually, after we played UTRGV in that crazy basically walk-off field goal, I drove the hour over to Lake Charles to watch McNeese beat the living breaks off of Houston Christian. And having seen those two teams, I feel like I watched a much better team at Commerce than I did the Houston Christian Huskies. And we didn't play them at Lamar. That's the team we avoid this year in our conference play. But yeah, that piece is such a fun. I mean, he wasn't fun to watch when I was obviously actively rooting against his team, but he really is fun to watch. And that was a very fun team. And I mean, I can't believe, it still blows my mind they're 2-8. I would love to know. I mean, obviously there's reasons for all their losses, but 2-8 just doesn't feel right for them. Like the fact that they're on the same boat as Houston Christian is just crazy to me.
Yeah, those are definitely two different 2-8 teams. Honestly, East Texas A&M should probably be a 4 or 5 win team. Some of those losses have been kind of nuts. Let's see. Let's talk about the Vaqueros, UTRGV. They're going to Lake Charles to play McNeese or McNeese if you are wanting to say it properly. This will be fun I hope some of the UTRGV fans make the trip to Lake Charles, because Lake Charles is actually a fun environment to go to a game. Their fans will feed you before the game, talk a massive amount of shit to you during the game, and then feed you after the game. So, although thanks to McNeese, I hate cowbells and I hate swaying because of their fans, swaying and clapping. So Micah, you've seen UTRGV. They're 7-3. They're 4-3 against Division I. McNeese 4-6 this year. Not the meteoric rise to success that I think some folks in Lake Charles are hoping for. What are your thoughts on those two teams?
So I'm glad Cory mentioned it a few minutes ago, but low key, I feel like this might be the biggest game for the Southland when it comes to the playoff opportunity. And I know that might be really crazy to say with 2 games, but if UTRGV doesn't win this game, then the value of a UTRGV win goes away, in my opinion. Like if McNeese is able to win this game, because again, Cory touched on it. UTRGV's 3 losses are the 3 ranked teams: Lamar, SFA, Southeastern. So if they can win out and go 9-3, and that's their 3 losses, they're not going to make the playoff, which, I mean, I would actually be open to having a conversation about them if it made sense. But, at the bare minimum, I mean, that would be I had someone in my mentions tell me that quality loss is what matters when you select FCS playoff teams. So if that's the case, let's give it to UTRGV because that'd be 3 great quality losses. But I mean, I'm just curious if McNeese is going to be able to run the football against UTRGV. We at Lamar struggled running the football against them. So interesting to see if McNeese can do it because they're going to need it.
I'll be honest with you, Micah. What keeps UTRGV out is playing Sul Ross and Texas Wesleyan this year. Those are the 2 games they needed. If they would have played a full and I understand why they didn't.
No, yeah,
right. Like obviously they didn't expect. I don't think they really expected this kind of success early. I think they were pretty confident they were going to be good. I don't think they thought they were going to be quite this good. But UTRGV's got to be favored. They've got. I think they go in. This could be a sneaky good game though, because Lake Charles can be tough to come out of with a victory.
Yeah. Yep. Zach, I saw you nodding too during that. So
Yeah, I like UTRGV here. I mean, they've exceeded all expectations. I don't think anyone really knew what to expect for them, right? Like I saw some projections like from fans saying that they were going to be competitive year 1, and other people, including myself, was like, man, they just one D1 win would have been an excellent season for them, and here they are at 7 wins, 4 of them Division 1, and that PV win has aged amazing with how good PV's playing. Like they're going to be in the SWAC championship, and UTRGV went on the road and beat them.
Yeah. Hey, look, I am on the bus, and I've mentioned it a few times for the few people who come to my Substack and read it, that Travis Bush is not only the Southland coach of the year. I think he's a national coach of the year. I mean, who can you tell me should be national coach of the year than Travis Bush?
Ooh, I'll Deshaun Jackson.
Yes, Deshaun Jackson would probably be the first one. The first name that came to mind for me, because while UTRGV is a new program, if you look at what Delaware State wishes they had UTRGV resources. Exactly. So
that would be like someone taking over like Portland State and winning the Big Sky year 1 is what Deshaun Jackson's doing right now at Delaware State, winning the MEAC potentially.
Yeah, but Southland Coach of the Year, I 100% agree with. I think you have to give it to him. There, especially with the best thing about this, they really have nothing to lose this year, right? And so how many seasons they have is only going to help them get better recruits. It's only going to help make them stronger. It's only going to help get more. I mean, they're already 103% of their capacity for average attendance, right? So they already have the fan support. They're already going nuts down there. You know, Zach,
I have a waiting list for season tickets.
Yeah, Zach, I know you and I are going to Terre Haute for another thing, but we should find a reason to go to the Valley and go check out SFA.
I want to go so bad.
We should go when SFA plays them next year.
I'm down.
Yeah,
lock it in.
Yeah, Corey, you should fly down too. We can make a trip for.
I want to get down there. You know, just I talking to Bush a couple of weeks ago during their bye week, man. I wanted to get down there right then and just experience that atmosphere.
Yeah.
It's all everybody's like, oh, the seats are empty. That's because they're still out there having a party in the parking lot, man. Give them a break.
Yeah,
if you're free, I mean, you could say no, but if you're a real football fan, you'll say yes. You can join me and Rev in Terre Haute for an Indiana State game next year because we have to go.
Because we both lost the bets.
Yeah, you know, then I'll not be a real football fan. I've been to Terre Haute a few times. There's only one place I would go to Terre Haute, and that's the Larry Bird Boston Connection. If it's still there, that restaurant, that was one of the coolest places. But outside of that, man, Terre Haute's a place you get in and get the hell out.
Yeah, well, we're gonna do it now. Then Micah, obviously,
we'll find out next year.
Yeah, and Micah, obviously, when SFA plays UTRGV, if Lamar's on by, you're more than welcome to join us on this adventure. Also, didn't want you to be left out on that. Let's get into the main course here because there's 2 games. Let's start with Southeastern Louisiana traveling to the Church, and I call it the Church not because of the Cardinals, because that's the quietest damn stadium I've ever been in my life. But they traveled to Benson Stadium to play the University of the Incarnate Word at 2:00. I think it's 2:00.
It's 2:00. Yes.
Yeah, 2:00. This game, I'm going to go last on this because I have a theory on this, but we've watched these teams. We've watched what Incarnate Word has been doing. We've watched Southeastern Louisiana previously go undefeated in the FCS until last week, although they didn't really play much of a schedule. Let's be honest here. They were paper lions. I said that last week. I stand by that. So I think this has some serious ramifications with the conference. Corey, what are your thoughts on this game?
First off, Benson Stadium is not good, but that campus is right in the heart of San Antonio. It is gorgeous. It's gorgeous. If they could get a nice stadium, that would be an A-plus place, because just a couple miles down the road is Trinity with one of those old school D3 type stadiums. Man, they've got it going there. That is a gorgeous area to play. And I think the Cardinals, I don't think SLU has enough offense. Same thing I thought a couple weeks ago when Lamar went in there. You've got to put up points to hang with them because they are so talented. I don't know that the Lions do it. I think UIW is probably going to come out with that one.
Micah, you got some firsthand knowledge of both these teams, both in a good way and a bad way. What are your thoughts on the game?
Well, for starters, I'm going to defend Benson Stadium. That's the loudest stadium I've been in this year. So I'm just going to say that out there. It was homecoming, though, so maybe I just got a different taste of it. But it was louder. It was louder than East Texas A&M was. It was louder than Northwestern State was. It was louder than Texas Southern. So Texas Southern wasn't a soccer stadium, though. So
you're not mentioning loud stadiums, Mike.
Yeah,
I know. I'm just simply saying y'all said it was the quietest, and I'm just letting you know it's the loudest that Lamar's played in this year, including North Texas when we played them. But we're FCS team.
So was it louder than is it louder than Provo Sunfree?
No.
Okay, so there you go.
I won't let it be louder. I'll play the music too loud.
UNT Stadium is nice, and it's like dead in there all the time.
Yeah.
And my favorite thing about Benson Stadium was the fact that there was the tailgates going on outside the stadium playing explicit music. But we're at like this Catholic school, and like it's just it was a very weird vibe. But obviously my time there wasn't the greatest from on the field results. But no, I mean, I still think Southeastern's the better team. I really do. I'm just speaking from the Lamar standpoint. And if you ask Pete Rosamondo this, I think he said it on the other D1 podcast, he mentioned this too. But like when we played there, we just did not play well early on. I don't know if it was intimidation. I don't know if it was overlooking. I'm the marketing guy, so I'm the wrong guy to ask for that. But it felt different than what it felt like when I was on the field pregame doing photos against Incarnate Word. It felt like a playoff game on their sideline. You could tell they were locked in. You could tell they wanted this. Like, again, it wasn't the greatest atmosphere in the world, but it's the best atmosphere I've seen of UIW pictures. Like, it was pretty full on their home sideline. We traveled pretty well. It felt kind of like a playoff game in that sense. For Southeastern, obviously, I don't understand necessarily the two quarterback system. I mean, again, this is a marketing guy talking, but I'm a big fan of Camp, and I was kind of surprised how little they used them against us last week. I don't know if he's banged up. I don't know that answer, but I think Southeastern's a little bit better of a team. But I also had an SLU staffer last week when we were talking after the game, said that they're terrified to go to UIW because similar with us and Lamar, we have a bad history of going to UIW and not winning games there. So I think that might, if that skeleton's in that closet, who knows? So
are you taking SLU or are you taking in UIW?
I'm going to ride for the Southland brand and just say SLU just because I want more playoff teams. We're just going to roll with that for the brand.
That's 100% fair. Zach, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I really like this matchup for UIW, and that's why I've been kind of talking for a few weeks now that this is a massive trap game, just because I don't think Incarnate Word's going to be able to run the football very well against Southeastern, but man, Colson's playing so well at quarterback, and they got so many weapons at wide receiver that if they could just get to like 24 to 28, it's going to put so much pressure on Southeastern, who also, on top of that, I don't think is going to be able to move the ball very well because Incarnate Word is good against the run, and SLU against good teams has not really thrown the ball super well. You look at what happened last week against Lamar; it looked atrocious. And if they come out with that sort of offensive production, Incarnate Word is going to blow them out. And then I just want to say this too: Kilo should get a lot of credit. Because I'll be honest, I was the first one to say when they went on that losing streak, I was so worried because you bring in a ton of transfers, like they'll quit. And they're going to be like, man, I'm getting back in this portal. This isn't what I signed up for. For him to keep this team locked in where they're still competing in games after some of those bad performances, he deserves a lot of credit for keeping this team locked in despite not having all the preseason expectations and talk, they weren't able to live up to that. They have really nothing to play for right now other than pride, and they're still playing hard and knocking off some good teams. So you got to give them credit for that.
Yep. So first of all, shout out AD Richard Duran. He when I was there with Kyler Neal for Eastern Washington and Cardinal Word, he definitely found us in the stands and took care of us, took us out of the stands, put us out in the Cardinal Club, came up, talked to us out of the game. Great guy. I know the other folks who work with Incarnate Word, a certain trifecta, if you will. But to me, when I look at this game, I think you touched on it. What interests me a little bit is going to be the Southeastern Louisiana defensive front against Incarnate Word's offensive line. Caleb Proctor is a beast. He is an absolute beast. There's no other way to describe him. He's going to be playing on Sundays. I think he'll be probably the first Southland player drafted. And then you've also got KK Reno back there as well. I'm interested to see, because again, the Incarnate Word front five is not big. They're not Texas size, line, the same size line you see at Lamar, the size line you see at SFA. They're smaller guys. And so I'm interested to see if Proctor can wreak havoc in the backfield against the Incarnate Word backs, and also, against Colson a bit. That to me is really truly the X factor, because I think I don't know how well someone like Carson Camps is going to do against Incarnate Word. I don't know how much offense you're going to see against Incarnate Word. And that's a worrisome sort of thing. And while Southeastern Louisiana has a good defense, to the point, if Incarnate Word gets up, if they get to 21, if they get to 24, that's an Incarnate Word win. Because I don't know if Southeastern breaks 20. And so I think it really comes down to what the Southeastern Louisiana defense can do to stop the Incarnate Word offense. Now, for the sake of the brand, I want to see Southeastern Louisiana win. But I think this is a trap game for them. And I know they're also looking at the River Bell next Thursday, which is that game. It doesn't matter what the records are in that game. That is a complete throw out the record book. This game is going to be an ugly sort of game. So this is, I think, puts even more pressure on the Lions to win this week. So
and I'll tell you, Colson, he's the right guy to have if you don't have a good offensive line. And that's why I give an edge to UIW this week.
Yeah.
Yep. Because I still, I look back, because I know people always say, because I had someone question me about it when I said that about Colson starting the whole season. They're like, yeah, but that really, quarterback was bad, but their offensive line was bad. This was bad. I was like, yes, but Colson gives you so many extra plays just because of what he can do with his legs. And Torres was just standing back there, getting teed off on by Nichols. All of us know how to play football, bro. The guy's hot. Obviously your line's sliding the other way, and they're bringing dudes off the edge, and you're not checking protection. You're just turning your back and letting this dude take your head off for no reason. You could tell from game one, he just was not the guy.
I am not great at the X's and O's, but I could tell who was blitzing on those plays. It was so obvious that he was not picking up the blitzer. And yeah, no, I agree with you, man. Colson should have been. And it's interesting because thinking back, talking to Killo last year after spring, he mentioned how bad the offensive line was. Really, he talked about Gush's defense just peppering the quarterback all the time. And if you know that's what's coming, I do think I do kind of wonder what in a way, I think he felt he had to give Torres that chance because Torres had been so loyal to the program. He didn't feel that he could just go past him right away, but that would have probably been the better choice long term.
Well, what was crazy too is when we were there face to face watching them. First half, Incarnate Word just absolutely dominated Eastern Washington, right? And Eastern Washington was giving Torres time, their corners were playing 8 yards off. It was insane the amount of cushion they're getting. Second half, that completely changed. Second half, in Eastern Washington effectively shut down Incarnate Word. And Incarnate Word, so it really was a tale of a Jekyll and Hyde sort of game out of them. And that was still having Torres at the helm. So I think having Colson back there is the right move for them. I think that's what makes them a better team. And yeah, I'll be watching this one keenly from the alumni tailgate in Nacogdoches before our game kicks off.
Hey, Rev, can I help you out with this?
Huh?
I did something today on my Substack that if people enjoy this,
that's 3.
I've got a scores tab now when you go to it, and it has a link that gives you directly to the video feed of each game.
Nice.
That involves all the Southland, SWAC, UAC, all the way down through the Southwestern Junior College Football Conference.
Nice.
So if a Texas team's in your conference and you want to see the video, a direct link, you don't have to try to find. And part of that is to help me, granted, because I do some searching on Saturdays to find something. So.
You should just mess with Rev and just every single Stephen F. Austin link, make it go directly to Flow Sports.
That God, it's my plan.
And it's a Sam Houston's game.
Man, you know what? I would say Flow Sports looks better than Sam Houston football right now. So I would take the Flow Sports link over anything Sam Houston.
God, man, I've had to watch a lot of that.
Yeah,
I bet you they're enjoying those Tuesday night games, man. I bet that's some real elevation right there.
They're enjoying not being at home.
400 fans.
Yeah, man. Hey, listen, you know what? I defended them this year about their attendance woes because they are playing at Shell Energy Stadium, and I did also talk to my marketing team at Shell and say, why are we letting a bad team play here? But I digress. That's just such a bad situation for them. But we're not here to talk Sam Houston. If you want to talk about how a bad football team, you can watch Cory Hogue on a different podcast.
March to the pod.
We're not saying their name on here. I'm gonna have that blanked out when we
March the number 2 the pod, Dustin.
We're not gonna, it is. But the nice thing too is that it is sponsored by a roofing company who will help you put a roof over your head once you get out of prison, like most Sam alumni will.
And
so
it's a Lord's roofing. It's eternal roofing. So it comes from the Lord.
All right, let's get to the fillet, the main course, the steak. We got the Lamar Cardinals, the 8-2 Lamar Cardinals, traveling to Nacogdoches on Senior Day to play the Stephen F. Austin Lumberjacks. I've seen the line on this be like 13 points.
Yeah, crazy.
That's a crazy line to me. I usually don't talk lines because one, we live in Texas and it's a bitch to sports gamble here, but also but to me, 13 points is a crazy line on this game. Micah, what are your thoughts about coming into Homer Bryce?
First off, I saw 7.5, the one that I've seen. So.
Who'd you see it on? Because I think I
don't remember who it was, to be honest. I was scrolling from our team account. I just remember seeing a 7.5. I don't know if it was Reddit's FCS that put that. So I don't remember who.
No, I want to say, I don't remember where we got ours. Let me double check.
It's a FanDuel.
Yeah, we recorded our show last night, and it was the spread we had was 17. Or 13. My bad, 13.
Yeah, I think FanDuel was 13. I think FCS Reddit was lower.
Yeah, I think that's the 7 one, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But for us, first off, I'm excited to finally do a game at Nacogdoches. I know I've been there before just to visit, just to check it out. And good gosh, that stadium feels massive when you stand on the field. So I'm intrigued to see what it'll feel like / look like with. I think y'all are doing all black is what I've been told. So I don't think it's a blackout per se, but I know your team is supposed to be wearing all black. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But no, I'm really excited. I know from just me selfishly, I'm a fan of good football. And I don't know if Rev, if you know this or not, but my first game at Lamar last year was against SFA. My first day as an employee or first event as an homecoming game where we lost a close one to you all last season. So, obviously for me, it would be nice to get a little bit of revenge too. Got revenge on Southeastern last week, so that was fun. So maybe we can get some revenge this week. But no, I'm excited. I'm actually coming. My Wi-Fi, by the way, I'm sorry it's so terrible. I'm actually at a cabin about 40 minutes away from Nacogdoches right now. I decided to do a little not weekend, but just take a day off tomorrow. Yeah. So admin's kind of stepping away. So I'm actually at a lake house, right on one of the lakes over there. So my Wi-Fi is terrible. Sorry in advance. It's not my normal setup, but no, I'm excited. That's for sure. I have a gift for you as well, Rev, because I know how much you love red. So,
Mike, I just thought you were an outdoorsman.
I was like, this is a very sort of wooded cabin for Beaumont.
No. Unfortunately, to show proof of concept, I've got the helmet traveling with me to show you that I'm literally on the road because I wouldn't have it in my apartment. But
Nice.
Yeah, I was just sitting here thinking I was like, man, that must be what Beaumont looks like.
That's more of a
this is exactly what Beaumont is. It's a very outdoorsy town. There's no industry anywhere. It's all just trees.
Zach, there's a town called Natchez and Groves, and that's what the houses look like down there in Natchez and Port Natchez and Groves. But no,
yeah, P&G. If you really want to see something that in 2025 will make you go, how in the heck are they able to do that? Go to a P&G high school game.
That game is nuts, and their band is extremely. They've pissed off an entire nation of people with their performances, so it's interesting to go see. No, I'm actually
state championships a few years.
Yeah,
ago.
I'm very excited to see Lamar come in. I'm very excited. Like, it's be fun. I'm actually I'm a fan of good football, and this is a good football game. And Mike, and to your point, yeah, that stadium, it's weird because the way it's shaped, because the stands are only from about the 25 to 25 on each side, but because of how it's built into that bowl, it gets loud. Is it, Wagriz decibel level? No. And we'll probably have 10,000 people there. That'd be my assumption for attendance, especially some of the push. I know there's a lot of folks coming from out of town to this game too. So I hope it's the fun environment that you want to see. Tailgating for us is small. Unfortunately, that is one of the downsides to Nacogdoches. Tailgating is not good. But if you got a chance to go tomorrow on your way to town, go to Butcher Boys and get yourself some barbecue, I would highly recommend it. I actually almost wore my hat, but they don't sponsor me, so they got their name dropped for free. But definitely worth the stop if you can go in. I'm going to save my thoughts for last. Zach, I'm going to roll it over to you. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what Lamar does at quarterback. I know both those guys have been banged up at different times this year, and overall, listen, Lamar's not a team that's going to push it down the field. But looking at the matchup, that's kind of the way I think is the best way for them to win this game, because I don't think they're going to have any success running the football against the Stephen F. Austin defense. I just think it's a bad matchup, and if they become super one-dimensional, I think SFA can pin its ears back and get after the quarterback, and that could be a bad matchup. Lamar's going to have to win this game like they've won every other game. Cory mentioned it earlier. They have mastered the art of just, you'll be watching the game with Lamar, and it's like, man, they've played terrible. And then you look down and the score is 12-9 and they're leading. And it's like, hey, hang on, what did I miss? And you got to go back and rewatch the game. They need to just make this an ugly game. I'm talking about field goals, keep SFA off the board when they get into the red zone, hold them to field goals, and you got to force some turnovers. If Vidlac doesn't play for some reason and it's Rutherford, you got to make him uncomfortable, and you have to put the game in his hands and also make SFA one-dimensional. And so I'll be very curious. I think that's going to be the key, is what is Lamar going to do offensively? Because you look at all the key statistical metrics, and Stephen F. Austin has a massive on-paper advantage defensively against Lamar's offense, and that's going to be the question, is how long can Lamar's defense keep them in the game?
Yeah, so to echo that point, when you look at the numbers, SFA is second in the nation in rushing yards allowed, 66.5. They're second in the nation in total yards allowed. They're fifth in the nation in points allowed, and they're fifth in the Southland in passing yards allowed, which honestly, Lamar is not so much of a passing team versus but that would be some plays in their favor. Lamar's defense, third in the conference in total yards allowed at 300, fourth in the conference at points allowed, fifth in the conference with rushing yards allowed, and sixth in the conference in passing yards allowed. And SFA's offense is basically third, fourth, and fifth in all those categories in the conference. So to your point, yeah, on paper, it does skew towards SFA. Cory, what are your thoughts?
Well, what you guys are talking about is why I see a line here that says 11.5 for SFA, because that's what they're looking at, right? They're looking at the paper, but guys, Lamar doesn't play games on paper. They play games in the trenches. They muck it the hell up. It's going to be an ugly game. A guy to watch on SFA's side, Jaden Southern, middle linebacker, Iowa Park, Texas, just down the road from where I live. Covered him in high school. Good kid. Really, that guy. See, how about that for a plug, Dustin?
Yeah, I like that.
he is a guy who, when he played, I told Colby right away, I said, you got you a gamer. Like, he's got that mentality, that attitude you want at a middle linebacker. I am not surprised to see him doing so well there. And he can take over a game, but it's going to get ugly. It's going to get dirty. Lamar's going to muck it up. 11.5. I mean, if I had money, I would put all of it on Lamar, right, to cover that 11.5, because that just feels like an easy cover. I think it's going to come down to the fourth quarter late. I give an edge to SFA, but I mean, we haven't seen them play really top level outside of Abilene Christian, a top level team, and we haven't seen them in a late fourth quarter game. And that's where Lamar has thrived. They thrive in the gritty. And if they get it to the fourth quarter, the last half of that fourth quarter, and it's tied or they're up a little bit, it's going to be very hairy times for Stephen F. Austin. I think the Jags pull it out. I think the home field advantage gives them probably a field goal, but it wouldn't shock me to see that go the other way around. And I would also the over under, like, I don't know what the total is, but the total's not going to get very high.
I would take the under no matter what it is. If the under starts with a 5, or if the over under starts with a 5, you take the under. What's crazy about
it starts with a 4.
Yeah, even if it starts with a 4. What's crazy, Southland has 92 tackles this season. 92. He's going to probably break 100 in this game.
Yeah.
Which is just nuts. You want to talk about potentially Southland Defensive Player of the Year? He has got to be up there.
Is he a junior or senior?
He is, I believe, a junior.
I think he's a junior.
No, he is a senior this year.
Is he?
Jaden Souther's a junior, yeah.
Wow.
He is a senior this year. And
doesn't seem like that long ago he was running over kids out here in Wichita Falls area.
I know.
I have bad news, Dustin. I think Southland Defensive Player of the Year could have been given out week 3.
Yeah,
that's very true too.
I think we already mentioned the name.
We already mentioned the name. I know who's going to win it. Okay, but let me pat my boy on the back a little bit. All right, look,
that's fair. That's fair.
I intentionally didn't wear SFA gear. That's why we're wearing a Temu Solani Anaheim Mighty Ducks jersey to get the purple in without wearing anything for my team. So because I tried to keep it neutral, but now.
Like, and then Micah comes in with cardiac cards.
Hey, you know what?
I love that shirt though.
That's a sick shirt. And I bet if you subscribe to. I bet if you wanted to trade that shirt for a free subscription to CoryHogue.substack.com, you could do that. But no, I'm going to try to take my fan bias out of this. And of course, everybody as a fan of a school does have a little bias. So I'm going to try very hard to take it out when I say this. I think Cory touched on my point, one of my points. The fact that line is at 10 or 11 or 13 is nuts to me. It should not be that big. It really shouldn't, because Lamar, they lost to Incarnate Word, but you know what? I don't believe in you utilizing the transitive property when it comes to evaluating teams. I know everybody says it's never wrong, but you can't look at those games because it's all these different sort of environment. Lamar is built on defense. SFA is built on defense. This is not going to be a high scoring game. Where I think the X factors are for each team. And normally I would say it's somebody like Kylan Harris for SFA. It's not. It's Jarrell Wembley. If Wembley can make some runs, if he can get away from the line play that Lamar is going to go get down and dirty at, that's where SFA's offense has the opportunity to thrive. Because I don't know how much time Vidlak's going to get to air balls out. I really don't, because the Lamar front 7 is good, is very, very, very good. To that point, for SFA on the defense side of the ball, they have to get in. They have to get into the backfield. They have to mess with whomever the quarterback is. And I say whomever because y'all keep dancing back and forth on if it's Aiden McCown or if it's, so to that point, they have to get in the backfield. They have to keep Coleman wrapped up. There's all these things that they have to do. They have to almost play Lamar's game back against them. They have to muddy it up. Right, they have to count on Charles Deming to handle the secondary and lead the secondary. They've got to get in there. They got to put pressure on that. And to that point, I don't see this being a game that is a blowout type game on either side. I don't think this game breaks 35 points in total. If I'm being 100% honest, and if I were to look at the score, to me, gosh, 21. I mean, well, that wouldn't work. 17-10 seems feasible. 17-14 seems feasible for a game like this because of how strong the defenses are. I'm definitely looking forward to it because it's senior day. Looking forward to it because I think if SFA wins, I still don't think they're a top 8 seed in the playoffs. I've seen them getting top 10 votes. I've seen them in I don't think they're a top 10 team right now, if I'm being 100% honest. But if SFA could win and then win against Northwestern State and get a home game over Thanksgiving, I'd be very pleased with that.
I have a question for you, Riff.
Yeah.
Biggest game in Nacogdoches since when?
Probably the 1989 season, and I'm being dead serious about that. That ties into the streak, right? This is the biggest streak SFA has had since 1989, where they went to the national championship and lost to Georgia Southern, and then had all those games vacated because of some bullshit that wouldn't cause the games to be vacated now because of NIL. So this is the longest streak they've had since 1989. So to me, this is probably the biggest game they had, because when you look at the games that they've hosted in the playoffs, most of their playoff games have been they hosted Villanova, right? A year they should have gotten a seed and they didn't, and got absolutely thrashed by Villanova, pretty early, pretty ugly. But they've had to go to Montana in the playoffs. They've had to go to Northern Iowa. They went to Incarnate Word a couple years ago. The playoff history for SFA isn't that deep, honestly, at the FCS/1AA level. So this is the biggest game since 1989, and I'm hoping that we have more people show out, especially some of the older, the alumni who remember those days, who remember the Todd Whitten years, the Todd Hamill years, right, with him at quarterback, or maybe even further in the 90s. Remember the Jeremiah Trotter, Larry Center years, and they come back for this game, because that's what SFA needs. SFA needs the crowd support. That's why they've been pushing it all week on social media too. Usually our attendance drops off in November because of hunting season. And that's a real fact.
Hey, that's East Texas.
That's East Texas for you, man. You go to a football game, or especially against a team who's normally not that good, or you go after some deer. Which one are you going to do? The answer is go after some deer, or go out.
And most of them come in for high school playoffs too, though, and then they leave right back out.
Exactly. So I think having the kickoff at 4:00 is great too, because I think that gets the right time of day versus a night game. I think it'll be a great atmosphere for it. And, it's a rivalry. It's maybe not as big of a rivalry as we see in Northwestern State. It's not as big of a rivalry as we had with Sam Houston, but SFA and Lamar are only 90 miles apart, 90 or 100 miles apart. It's not that far. I think the rivalry has always been bigger in basketball because Lamar has had some hella good teams. And SFA has had some hella good basketball teams. But it's good to see a game between these two teams where both teams are good when it comes to football, because it hasn't always been that way. So I think for all that, this is not just the biggest game in SFA for SFA since 1989. It is the biggest game in the Southland this year. This is a de facto championship. I know there's weird tiebreaker scenarios where if SFA were to win and then somehow lose against Northwestern State, it would come down potentially to other weird down the rabbit hole sort of crap.
Computer formulas,
formulas. You wouldn't get down to the coin flip level, but I think Chris Grant would have fun with the coin flip if there was one. But
Friday night, hey, they had one of those last week out in West Texas again. They met at a quick trip, I think it was. It had one of those again. Yeah.
But to that point, this is a game where SFA needs to win just to erase all doubt. This is a game that Lamar needs to win to erase all doubt. And then for the other game, this is a game Southeastern Louisiana needs to win to erase all doubt as well. So it's a big weekend of football for the conference. Again, I'm taking SFA, but I don't think it's a blowout. I think it's a close game. I think it's a good back and forth, late fourth quarter type sort of game, a defensive struggle. And honestly, I hope it's not. I hope SFA blows them out. But
I'm the Lamar guy here, right? I'm just gonna say this: I want it to be close.
Yeah,
I know. I don't want to say that SFA would blow out Lamar. I'm not going to say that, but I'm more worried about that than I am losing a close game.
Yeah,
genuinely. I think if you're telling me it's a 3-point game going in the fourth quarter, I've seen it way too many times this year to think that Lamar can't figure it out. And that's why, I'm so intrigued by how people are like, oh, it's going to be a close game. I'm like, because this is my genuine opinion after watching SLU this past weekend. I think SLU lost that game partially because they had not been in a moment like that against a team in general all season. They had not been in a spot where like it was 14 or technically 7-6 at the end of the third quarter, but Lamar was driving, so it was really kind of more towards 14-6. And then they're like, "Oh, we've not been in this situation before." So obviously Lamar's been behind in the fourth quarter multiple times. They've also been up in the fourth quarter multiple times and had a hold. I mean, we literally tried everything in our power to lose last week with the fumble right before the end of that. That was I've never been more scared in my life. But that's why we're the cardiac cards. But my health insurance better be covered by the Texans. Not I'm in trouble. But no, I mean I think if it's close, I feel good. But
yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? I've been, I went to SFA, graduated in 08. I've been there for the 0-win seasons. I've been there for the 1-win seasons. I've been there to watch watch us snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, right? I've seen these things. I've seen Carthel. As much as I love Colby Carthel, I have seen him make some boneheaded coaching decisions and cost us some games that we should have won, so I would prefer that we absolutely obliterate Lamar, erase all doubt early. The closer the game is, the more I will be worried, where I'm at, because I know what Lamar can actually do. I know there's folks who think that Lamar is not good because of that loss to Incarnate Word. But again, beating South Dakota is aging a lot better now than it was earlier this year, right? Beating Southeastern Louisiana, not even better. And holding Southeastern Louisiana, who on paper had to put an offense to 12 points, like that makes me nervous as an SFA fan. So I think it will be a good game. I'm sure if you find where I'm at, you'll see my head down, not trying to worry for part of it, right? But it should be a fun, interesting game to be at. So I know we're actually over an hour, which is really impressive. I appreciate y'all's time. Real quick though, around the horn, because we always do this, let people know where they can follow you. I know, Micah, you've mentioned that you're also in charge of the Lamar football Twitter, who does follow me, so shout out to you for that. But go ahead and tell people where they can find you. Anything you want to shout out before we go. Micah, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to the regulars who know, and we'll see how many Substack plugs we can get before we're done.
I'll make a deal with everybody who's still watching, as long as your username is friendly and won't get me in trouble for following you back. Anyone that follows in the next 2 hours, I'll follow back, meaning I'm assuming you followed because you watched this show. So, and I mean from the Lamar football account, not from me. So follow Lamar football if you're not already following it. But if you want to follow me for some reason, I don't post all that much, but it's just my first initial last name and then number 25 afterwards. But I'd rather you follow Lamar football account anyways. So, obviously we do some goofy things over there, and hopefully I can keep some. I can release some receipts. I don't know if you know this, Rev, but I'm going to clip you if Lamar finds a way to win. So just keep that.
Hey, that would be
red. You might look pretty good in red. So, but we'll see. No, but this is fun to be on. So appreciate you having me on.
No, we're glad to have you. And trust me, it wouldn't be the first time I've been clipped for a team. Although the last time I was clipped for a team, it wasn't me who was saying it. It was another dumbass who was on the show, whose name I won't mention, that said that South Dakota State was not a good team. And that got clipped and got played in the hype video in Brookings. And then it was fun because I got to go to Brookings the next year and have fun with them with that. So, Zach, my man, the GOAT. I don't have any thick sheets of paper for where you're at, but go ahead and let people know where all they can find you and hear your sweet dulcet tones every week.
Yeah, man. The Blue Bloods on all podcast hearing platforms, FCS Football Central on SI, the FCS Edge with Craig, Haley, and the FCS Football Talk podcast with Sam Herder, and obviously the Blue Bloods on YouTube with Coach Fred, man. So all those different places, and on social media, of course, just my name. You can look that up. And Mike, I appreciate he called out every single media outlet that picked against Lamar but us. We somehow slid under the radar, even though I was brutal in my write-up. Like, I predicted them to lose.
Yeah, I actually Zach, I actually thought about that today. I was like, I went through my receipts. It's like I missed one. So you got lucky there. So
I appreciate it. It was a bad take.
It was not on purpose. That was just you escaping.
To be fair, I think I said that Southeastern would beat y'all, but I don't think I said Southeastern would own y'all. So I don't remember though. But it was a weird show last week because I was tired from other work stuff. So who knows?
Wasn't a great week. Predictions, especially because it was I think it was like the first or second one in the article. I think we had, I'm pulling up now, 38-14. Like I projected y'all to get murdered, and that did not happen.
Well, I guess he can go back and make a receipt now. But there's things. Hey, you know what? If we were all perfect at this, we would make a lot more money doing it than we do. So, all right. And also, Zach, has your show with the Herder dropped yet, or has it come out tomorrow? I hadn't seen it.
It dropped earlier this week. All the shows are out. Usually me and Sam drop on Tuesday. Craig's show drops on Wednesday, and then obviously me and Timothy drop a show on Monday and Thursday.
Gotcha. Yeah, I know. I like it. Whenever I say appreciate your time, I really appreciate your time because I know how much you're recording with everybody.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. All right, Cory. Let me, after the show, I'm going to go back and put a Substack.
I might make a Substack just to link to his Substack. That's the only point of me having it.
Let's go. So please, award-winning. We didn't say that earlier. Award-winning writer Cory Hogue. Let us know. Tell everybody we're going to find you.
I don't care how you get there. If you come and subscribe, man, I really appreciate it. I really do. Because it's been a year for Cory. But Cory Hogue Sports, if you're watching, you can see how to spell my name. There's no E in the Cory. It's CoryHogue Sports.substack.com. March to the pod as well. That is the Sam Houston podcast. Listen, if you don't like Sam Houston, you might want to come listen to this podcast because I am a certified Sam Houston hater. I have been called numerous times this year because I tell the truth about Phil Forth and Longo. So that's pretty much how that is. But yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on, Rev. It's always fun to come on here. It's great to see you, Zach and Micah, man. You guys are awesome. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk. And anyone who wants to come subscribe, you don't even have to pay. You can be free. There's lots of free stuff out there too.
You didn't mention the Cut Block, by the way. You left that one off.
The Cut Block podcast was not recorded this week. I'm going to see what I can get next week. I think next week might be a very touching show if I can get who I want as a guest. Gotcha. Just to talk about something that's not necessarily football, but kind of football related in some ways as well, and something that's near and dear to my heart as a former Army medic. So,
gotcha. Yep.
Looking to see if I can get that maybe set up for next week.
Totally.
I do want to say it's kind of nasty work. You promoted the Sam Houston podcast in front of the Rev, and then forgot the other pod. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, that's because that podcast does a lot better than the Cut Block podcast.
Yeah, well, they love to hate you, Cory. They love to hate you from the
love
top
me or hate me. They're still listening.
They love to hate you from the top of your pitchfork down to the bottom of your hose. They hate you. They hate you good.
You should bring the Rev on for a whole hour just so he can rant about how they're ducking the Battle of Piney Woods.
They are. Then they got beaten basketball, so they're ducking us and everything else.
I should bring him on March to the Pod.
And they should better. They should do it next year because it's technically a neutral site because they're still playing in downtown Houston.
Next year they won't. Next year they'll be back in Huntsville.
Are they back? I thought it was 2 years.
No, it's just 1 year. It's just 1 year at Shell Energy, and look, Colby's not going to do that unless they pay him $500,000, and I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either.
But they're not going to pay.
They're not going to pay. They can't afford to. They can't afford to.
They went to Oregon. They got $1.2 million to walk away with a win over the Beavers somehow, some way. They had 170 offensive yards for the entire damn game. Found a way to win, and I got people telling me that I'm quiet on social media because they won. I'm quiet on social media because whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's funny. People who I saw were like, I'm not going to watch Sam this year. Also, like, eat him up, cats. I'm like, that. Yeah, that's what I thought. Anyways, trust
me, they watch.
They watch, and they still get in my mentions too. They come at me all the time, and I'm like, guys, we're not your rival, and thank you for making my license plates because I really do appreciate that. But no, before we go real quick, obviously I say this every week, follow the more you go on to the FCS diaspora, if you will. If you following everybody, Zach, Sam, Kevin Marshall, and Stone at FCS Nation Radio, all the FCS Fans Nation folks, I know you follow them because you're here. HBCU Nightly, all the local guys, get in there, follow the teams, follow the conferences, follow Lamar football, get in there. All the support you do is what helps drive this subdivision and makes it better. I mean, this is one of the subdivisions where truly the fans have a say and can help with the growth of it and with the spread of it. And some teasers real quick. On Sunday on the FCS Fans Nation channel, there will be doing the live show where they do the mock playoff bracket, where they predict. Jamie, Kyler, and Matt predict. I got to come on last year, and turns out my prediction was right. Just saying. But they predict what the bracket's going to be, and then the following Sunday they will go live. And as the bracket's revealed, and it's really fun because all the money that the FCS Fans Nation gets for FCS Gold, that basically pays for the copyright strike that we get for that one. So it works out really well. But make sure you go watch that. And then also too, as is true to form, Zach knows about these Mega Live. We'll be back this year as we go through the playoffs, where we get all the FCS Fans Nation podcasters together, plus our friends, to just talk about the playoffs, talk about the bracket, freeform, open conversation. All the folks in the comments, I know I haven't posted many tonight, and I do apologize for that. Granted, one of them is because ROT is on, man. I just cannot put your name out in the either. I'm not Joe DeLeon, but I do appreciate you coming on here. But no, have a great weekend, everybody. Enjoy football. Micah, hope to run into you in Nacogdoches. I'm sure I'll see you. I knew you were going to reach for that helmet. That's okay. That's all right, because I
thought about doing the Lee Corso thing when you were going to ask me who I was going to pick, and I was going to take the hat off and throw the helmet on. But
you should have. That would have been really good. Do it now. We can edit it or something. Oh, it doesn't even fit.
No, it fits. It fits.
Okay.
We'll end the show with it on. That way.
There you go. That's the way to do it. But for Zach, Micah, Corey, and myself, thank you all for coming on and watching. Like I said, have a great week. Enjoy football. We will see you next week, and have a good one. Let's get out of here.